$10 trillion around the world. Government bonds are trading in negative territory right now. You're paying the government to hold on to your money for you in certain countries, and I don't think that trend is going to go away. I agree with lower for longer. I think in the first half of this year, you saw investors flocking to the U.S. as a safe haven, not just our markets, but our 10-year and our government bonds and government securities as well. And that could even push the 10-year lower from here. I have to, whoever called my name out, I have to wish him a happy 4th the next time I come to the New York Stock Exchange. Maybe I'll figure it out. But I do think that trend will continue here in the U.S. in terms of the defensive nature, the flight to quality, flight to safety, and the thirst for yield.
Keith, are you refinancing here?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Heather is a favorite den here on the New York Stock Exchange. So whenever you pop up on the screen, you do get lots of fans hooting and hollering. Of course,
I would love to. I'm very lucky. Thank you. This may look a lot like Y2K. It was a lot of noise in terms of Brexit and a lot of scrambling. And then at the end of the day, we didn't destroy the world. The markets, as you said, Bill, we had that V motion. We're right back up to where we were. And I think the markets can head higher, even with the 10-year at all-time lows, because we've already done it. I mean, we've been able, 108 times we've rallied, arguably since the bull market began to new highs in February of 2009, with near zero rates.